Good morning. How are you all today? I'm going to put this on both channels, so welcome to both Ultimate Preparedness and the American channel. I just got done watching something on YouTube about Muslim Sharia police chasing down people on horses, and they were wearing armbands that apparently say Sharia police. And the police were standing around there. There had to be 50 police standing around, and two Muslims on horses. Nice looking horses, by the way. They have good looking horses in England. You know that? You know they have good looking horses in England. They have good looking horses in Mexico and Spain. I like those horses. A lot of them are called what they call warm bloods. But anyway, 50 cops around, probably doing nothing, and the people were yelling at the cops. Why don't you do something? Why don't you do something? Why are you letting them chase people down on the streets on horses? And some weenie cop said, well, what do you want me to do? Pull them off their horse? And that guy said, well, do your job. You'd pull them off their horse if it was the Union Jack. England has fallen. And and America may be next if something isn't done, and something isn't done pretty quick. If nothing's done pretty quick, we're in for a real fight sometime down the road, and I don't think that down the road is all that far. I was talking to Triple G. Those of you over on, I think maybe he posts some on YouTube, I don't know, but he's mainly on our Patreon channel. And Triple G is a smart guy, very smart guy. And the first time I've ever talked to him on the phone in person, but I've loved his comments through the years. And he travels a lot. He says he doesn't much anymore, but he used to travel a lot to the UK. And he said he is so glad that he doesn't have to go back there anymore. He said that the last time he was in a stayed overnight in London, he was at a Marriott, very nice Marriott. He said he was the only white guy there. England, the UK, has fallen to the Muslims. They've allowed themselves to do it. Many of the European countries are right along there with them. Ireland is in there with them, and we are on the road. Now, while a lot of other preparedness channels are trying to scare you about, the price of eggs and the price of gas and I don't know, all sorts of things, the New World Order and things like that. Now, this is a part of all that. That we have some very real, clear and present danger enemies within our country. And they come into two main categories. The first is radical Muslims, and the second are the cartels. The Muslims who want to turn the United States, and I will say this, I'm sure there are plenty of good Muslims out there. Those aren't the ones where I'm talking about or am worried about. Except that as their population grows, even the good ones will many times vote for the Muslim candidate, who usually is more radical than those voting for them. And it has turned, look how it's turned some of the states. Look how it's turned Minnesota. Last time, and I've said this before, I went through St. Cloud on my way up farther north, went into a Walmart, and I thought I was in stinking Mogadishu. And I tell you, the way these people look at you, ain't friendly. It's not America anymore, right around there. Minnesota has pretty much fallen. I'm sorry. I know some of you guys up in Minnesota, you're great people. Man, I wish you could take your state back. Michigan's the same way. New York, now with Mondani. Now, if we skip over down to the south and southwest, mainly southwest, we are seeing in process a Reconquista for Ostland. If you are not familiar with those terms, Reconquista is the word that's used for the reclaiming by the Mexicans of that area in the Southwest, which is a large area, goes all through Texas, up through New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, California. The area that they lost in the Mexican-American War, and they want it back. And they are doing so the same way that the Muslims are, and that is through population expansion, politics, and violence, to be honest, violence. Most Americans are absolutely clueless about this, and that's the problem. I hope that you're not. If these other people have you all concerned about the price of eggs and the price of gas, that's something you just have to deal with. And I've said that before. Make more money, and that problem is easily solved. And you need to be able to get your head around a real threat out there, and that is this. We have them in a vice. I feel like it. What's that Steely Dan song? I've got Muslims to the north of me, cartels to the south. Here I am stuck in the middle of you, right? That's not what they said, but you know, right? What a great scene in Reservoir Dogs. Those are our threats, guys. Those are absolute, legitimate, clear and present dangers to us here in the United States. It amazes me how England, Britain, Great Britain, the UK, who at one time was so the English, I mean, they're essentially German, Anglo-Saxons, and then mixed with a bunch of Viking blood and all that, a little bit of Celt. Warlike people. They liked war more than anything. And sometimes when there was nobody else to fight, they'd fight each other because they liked fighting so much. Well, they sure have changed, haven't they? They sure have changed. And now we have, and I know there's some good folks out there, good tough Brits out there. And I hope if you are a good tough Brit watching this, glad to have you, brother. Pipe in here and tell us how things are going on in your opinion. But it's changed. And now we have weak people leading strong people. Right? Okay. Same thing in America. Americans used to be tough as nails. That's how we built this country. And through easy living and technology and a whole lot of other things. I guess I could sit down and write a paper on this, but I don't want to, and it doesn't matter. But we have now become a country run by weak and corrupt leaders. And now, and I know there's a bunch of strong Americans out there still, because I know a lot of them, and if I just extrapolate the ones that I know and multiply it by how many I don't know, there's enough we could take us. We could turn this country around by tomorrow breakfast. Okay, but it doesn't happen because even the tough ones here and in England are pretty much, we obey the law. We're not going to go outside the law. We're not going to take things into our own hands until a certain time is reached. And I'll tell you, that time is after it becomes almost completely untenable. So that's why the weak people who, run things by committee, you know how the morons so often, float up to the top of anything, any organization. Not always, but usually. And that's how the people who are willing to put it on the line but getting out there and working for what they believe in, that's how they become run by weak, corrupt people, because there are more weak people than there are strong people. Simple as that. And I don't mean physically strong, although, it helps. I mean morally, emotionally, and mentally strong. The kind of person that will stand up no matter what for what is right and against what is wrong. One of my favorite sayings is Edmund Burke's saying that all that is necessary for evil to triumph is for good people, good men, to do nothing. And we have a lot of good men doing nothing. Why? Because we have been smothered by ridiculous restraints, laws, regulations, this and that, taxes, all that. We have been smothered by those put into place by weak and corrupt people. Well, if you have a weak and corrupt government, ask yourself if it is moral, if it's the right thing to do, to obey. I'm not going to come on here and say, right? Ask yourself. We live in a world where justice is not served. Justice is rarely served. What about the Epstein files? What about so many things. What about all the dead Americans who are dead because of illegal aliens who came in and either raped and murdered them or killed them because they were driving under the influence? How about, where's the justice on that? Have we thrown all these people out of the country? No, we haven't. Why? Because our leadership has interests that are different than our interests. Our government no longer has the interest of the American citizen as their primary purpose and concern. How do we fight this? Now, the day will come. I want to say something here before I get there. I address both of these problems in my books. Mark Harrison reminded me of this the other day. He by the way, I've already mentioned a couple of people from our Patreon channel. If you're not with us on Patreon, the link's right down below. You would do well to come join us. We'd love to have you. It's a great bunch of smart people, and if you're not over there, well, you get a lot more over there than you get on the YouTube channel, for those of you. So come join us. It's only $1 a month, and you will. It's worth a lot more than that. You'll be glad you did. But Mark Harrison, who's over there, he said, man, you have called, you were like a prophet. Thanks, Mark. You were like a prophet. You called both of these instances, the Muslims and the cartels, in your books. And I talk about how after the collapse of everything, I'll show you my books in a minute and tell you how to get them, but right now I want to continue on this because they are a great battle plan and a great instructional. Well, they're novels, but I wrapped all the lessons in a nice story. He says you called it. I talked about a rise of radical Islam coming out of Minnesota, coming down through the Midwest, enslaving and murdering everybody because they want to establish the new caliphate. And this Somali warlord who wants to be the new caliph comes down. And I'll tell you what, if it all collapses like in my books, that's exactly what would happen. And then I talk about the Reconquista, the cartels coming up out of the Southwest and taking over more of that land down there and developing and trying to establish the new Aztlan. If you're unfamiliar with it, I think I would suggest you look it up and learn about it. And a great place to learn about it would be through my books. But I talk about I say how to handle that, exactly how to handle that. And people have said, and I mean handle it for once and for all, for good. A lot of people have said over the years that they wish that we would have a CME, coronal mass ejection, because that's all that would deliver us from an increasingly technologically advancing world, increasing surveillance, increasing control. They're the only thing that will save us from, the new digital controlled currencies. I think that's true. Here's the bad part is, good or bad, you decide. The negative part for many people would be, as they say, 90% of the people would die off during that time, during 12 months, within the first 12 months after a CME. 90% of the people would die because of, starvation, injury, disease, bad water, the violence that comes with the collapse of a society, all of that. Yeah, I won't argue with that. 90% sounds about right to me. And what will we be left with? we would be left with the strong. Some of us think that wouldn't be all bad. By the way, you like my mug? Stone Mount, Where Life is Good, given to me by Parker Kelly and her husband Bob. At the last gathering, the next Stone Mount Ultimate Preparedness gathering is October 3rd. Put it on your calendar. You will meet some of the best people you've ever met there. You won't meet any whiny little complaining people. You'll meet some great people, some strong people, some smart people, some friendly people, some of the nicest people you'll ever meet, but they are top notch. So we would be left with the strong. Now, some of those strong would be mean as snakes. But you know what? In the new order of things, in a world without rule of law, the law would be one of, well, like I talk about in my books, justice. When somebody does something horrible, they get taken care of. And their ticket gets punched right there. And then you know what? They don't do it anymore. And as we work our way through the asshats in a fallen world, who is it? By the way, Parker Kelly wrote the book Shattered World. Look her up on Amazon. Parker Kelly, A Shattered World. It's about a world after a collapse like mine. I think you'll like it. But only after that, only maybe after a total collapse, will we be able to actually take care of some of the problems we're dealing with now. And then maybe it'll take another 300 years before the weakness and corruption comes back in, but at least we have some time there, right? To right some wrongs, straighten some crookeds. Now, right now, we haven't reached that point. Right now, the war, the battle, is political. The problem is too many people won't fight the political battle. And why that is, I don't. It's just too. I don't know. Just too much for them. They have convinced themselves, or allowed other people to convince them, the losers, that politics is not worth it and not worth their time, and they don't want to think about it anymore. They don't know. All they want to do is stomp their little feet and be mad and all that, but they're not ready. They're not willing to get in a fight. And it's because of people like that. Those are the people who will do nothing that Edmund Burke was talking about. And that is what's going to take us. You see, at this point, the battle could be won. I don't know if it's still possible in the UK or not. It might be totally beyond this point in the UK. But at this point in America, the battle can still be won politically. But that window is closing, and it's closing quickly. And if we don't win this battle politically, we are going to be in it. We are going to be the ones who are living in the underground. We are going to be, well, that's kind of why I'm writing my other novel, an organized crime novel. We are going to be the outlaws. And people may think that sounds dashing and daring and everything like that. But I tell you, living as an outlaw under an oppressive government ain't no fun. I shouldn't say that. I won't say anything. So right now, we can still win it if enough people will become politically active. And I know exactly how people think. We had a lot of people who had high hopes for Trump. I did too. And now the bloom is off the rose for many, including me. I don't like a lot of the things that he's doing. But we will see. We will see. But that's what turns people off of politics. And then they, instead of fighting harder, they turn away. You know, nobody would understand a high school football team who, you know, when they're right in the middle of the game, halftime, and they're behind, and the other team is, you know, quite a bit up, if they would just turn around and walk off the field grumbling. Who would understand that? Nobody. Call them a bunch of losers, a bunch of weenies, a bunch of wusses, right? A bunch of whiners and complainers. But that's what happens in our world. Oh, I don't like politics, they say. Everybody's corrupt and everybody, well, the ones who make it to the top usually either are corrupt or get corrupted when they're up there. But that's because not enough support is given to the people at the grassroots on the low end by enough people to get them in office to let them work their way up into positions of influence. The battle, you know, they say that all politics is local, and that's true because it all starts local. As those people find themselves rising through, you know, the Senate and the House of Representatives and all that, they become members of the club, and they think more about retaining their position than they do about serving their people. That's, you know, that's right. Power corrupts, absolute. Power corrupts, absolutely. Who was that said it? Lord Acton? You all are so smart. If I'm wrong on that, somebody will correct me. But this is why we have to be involved in the political fight. But it's also why you need to be involved in building your own preparedness. Now, for those of you on the Preparedness channel, first off, I'd love you to come over to the American channel also, because I cover a little bit different things. I don't put as much up there yet as I do on the Preparedness channel, but I think I'm going to, and it might even get to the point where I'm putting more over there. We'll just see how that works. Right now, I'm putting quite a few on both channels, so people both groups get it. But for the Preparedness people, increase your preparedness and increase your personal foundation and strength, and that means not just all of the, you know, bullets and beans and band-aids. You know all of that. Okay, that is so basic. We don't even need to talk about that anymore. We need to be talking about your personal resilience and your independence from the system. Your ability, and I don't mean move out in the sticks, because you move out in the sticks, you don't have the same opportunity to have an influence on the people around you. You know, I know a lot of people do it for religious reasons, but let me remind those people that Jesus never told his disciples to go out and get away from everybody. No. He said, go out and be salt and life. You are supposed to have an effect on the world around you. Then he said, go out and make disciples in all the nations. You don't do that when you move out in the sticks. Okay? I mean, whatever. But the people who live out in the country, they don't have much of an influence on the society around them, and too many of them just stay out there and complain about it. And then also your financial strength, and that means you build your financial strength. You start businesses, whatever, a side gig, 5 side gigs. Build a big business, establish a strong financial foundation for your family, not just for you, not just so you can buy an extra, you know, bucket of beans every month, but build something that allows you to separate yourself from dependence on the system. Simple as that. You can still live in the system. I do. I have no desire to totally separate from the system. I like a lot of the things that I get from a civilized society. You know, I can go out, I can choose from 100 different restaurants tonight if I want to. I can, you know, I'm 5 minutes from excellent health care. A lot of things, a lot of great things about the world we live in, which is one of the reasons that I really would prefer not to have a CME. But if it comes, I'm ready for that too. But have an effect. Have an effect on the world around you. Establish your own foundation, your financial foundation, that allows you to separate yourself completely from dependence on the system. Make sure that you are concerned with the right things. Forget about the price of eggs. I don't care how many of these people on YouTube want to scare you about the price of it. I bought eggs yesterday for 99 cents a dozen. Okay. And yet we were supposed to be worried about that. That was the most important thing, right? There he goes. That was the most important thing for a month. It's the price of eggs. Good Lord. Hey, we have enemies all around us. The way you deal with an enemy or an adversary is not to whine and complain and be all scaredy cat about it, but to strengthen yourself and prepare yourself to deal with them. And I mean deal with them, okay? If you want a plan on how to do that, might I suggest, if you haven't read my books yet, the Stonemont series, might I suggest this be the very next thing you do. It is a series of 7 novels, sequential novels. It's about a prepared family who, as a result of their preparedness, was not only able to continue living a high-quality life after the total collapse of everything, but was also able to go out and help other people, bring them in, and start recreating community and society the way it should be formed. And you can get them a couple of different ways. You can get them either through Amazon, that link's down below, or you can get them a better way, the way that I love you to get them, and that is directly from me through our website, stonemont.us. And when you do that, I sign each one for you. I write a note in each one of them to you. You can buy the whole set, which you can't do on Amazon, but you can only do it through the website. You will love the books. You will learn more than you can imagine, because people have told me that. I've had people tell me they've read through the whole series 5 times and are still loving it. First off, they love the world of Stonemont. When they get in here, they see things done the way they ought to be done. They see justice served. They see self-reliance. They see resilience in people. They see those traditional values that so many of us miss in the world today. And it's all wrapped up in a great story, but you will learn more than you can imagine. So, like I say, either through Amazon or through, and that's links down below, or through our website, stonemont.us. I love it when you get it through the website, because then I love signing them for you. I love seeing your name, writing your name in there, to John, to Mary, to whoever, and write a note in there to you, and it gives me that feeling of connection to you that I really like. So get that. It will show you how to handle these, how to prepare for it, and how to handle it. So we have real threats, and we have real problems, and the more that you allow yourself to be sidetracked by these yahoos that want you to concern yourself about the price of gold and the price of gas and the price of this and the price of that and the New World Order and all that, it's taken your attention off the real problems that you really should be preparing for. Don't let them do that. Don't wallow in that morass of negativity that so many people just love splashing around in. Stand up, be the preparedness-minded person you should be, and get stronger every day. All right? Okay. You all have a great day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, and also remember that the spirit of America resides in the hearts and minds of true American patriots. And I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.